concert. It's a variety concert, actually, and it's to mark World Mental Health Day. On the 10th of October every year, we're invited just to reflect on our own mental health and also that of people in our lives, our families and friends and the wider community. So this year there's a variety concert in Greenan, and this is going to focus on the ways that we all use to take care of our mental health and well-being. And I'm delighted that Bill Vaughan, who works with Mental Health Ireland and is hosting the concert, joins us now in the studio, and we're streaming online as well. Bill, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, John, and thanks very much for having me. It's great to come in and be able to chat about it.
You've taken on it's quite the job you've taken on here, a variety concert. You think, oh, that'll be grand, until you actually set about going down through the bill and getting everything in place. Yeah, but you've quite the variety in here.
Well, it's funny, just exactly what you say. This was an idea in my head, and I was sitting at the desk. I have a desk with health promotion staff. And I was saying to Anne McAteer, God, with the Mental Health Day coming up, I would love to do this. And Anne said, God, that sounds great. We'll back you, mental health promotion. We'll go towards that. With help with the finances and that. So suddenly
that's
it becomes a reality, and
and then you've got to get your sleeves rolled up.
That's it. You got to put the work in. Then an idea is great, but putting it into practice then is once the real work starts.
And putting on an event, that's attractive and fits the bill, I suppose, the challenge.
Yeah. Well, for working with Mental Health Ireland, that's our big month is October, and World Mental Health Day. Just down over the years, I see it as one of the big days of the year for all of us, really.
A focal point
to be able to kind of shine the torch on what's most important is our own self-awareness and looking after ourselves. And if you compare it to cars, maintaining cars, we need to service cars, and most of us are fairly good at that. With we have to be with the MOT and that NCT, but we can take the eye off the ball when it comes to looking after our own well-being, and wait until then something goes wrong, and then it's to the GPs, and hopefully they'll figure it out. Whereas, we have it within our own capacity to do a lot more for looking after ourselves on a daily basis, and that's what this concert focuses on, is the fun around that, the joy around prioritising your own overall well-being. But the challenge I find working in the mental health field is not to spoon-feed people, to tell them that this is what they should be doing, because none of us like words like should. You should be doing that. You need to be doing that. We all just switch off. Whereas the challenge with this kind of event is how do I attract people into wanting to go to this event? Because mental health to me is like gold. Self-awareness. The more you get into the whole area of self-awareness, looking after yourself, if you speak to people who have overcome challenges around all kinds of different mental health issues, they will talk about finding an inner peace. Nothing changes on the outside, their life goes on. But
just able to cope better.
They cope better, and they appreciate the simple things in life better.
You said there that we all, or most of us, have the capacity to change things when it comes to our mental health, and change things for the better. If we find ourselves feeling particularly low, or we find that our mental health is suffering, sometimes the biggest challenge is just realizing that we have it within us to change things.
And
that we have the tools, might well have the capacity, but we're just such a situation that we can't see that.
I believe we came into this world with the tools we need to look after ourselves. Some people call it your spirit, some people call it just wisdom. And as we grow up, we get distracted away from all that, but life's interesting. Technology's getting faster and faster and more smart. So it's very easy to be drawn away into the world around us. But if we disconnect too much from that inner wisdom, that's where the problems start. That's where mental health issues can become a problem.
Why is it such a big issue these days? How is it that, when you roll back the clock 20 or 30 years, were those issues always there? Was it as big a problem in society as it is now, or have things changed over the years? And is it just the life that a lot of people live? Is it just because of maybe technology or our surroundings or the pressure that we're all under? What is it? You work in the area, so what is it? What are the common issues?
What's brilliant about working in the area is, firstly, I'm passionate about the whole thing, and secondly, I can only give you my kind of views on such a big question, John, because we all have our own inner world going on, our own thoughts, and to answer how life's moving on, life's changing. Are we better off now than, say, our grandparents were growing up?
Our parents.
Our parents. Everyone will have a different opinion on that. One thing I do kind of notice is if I'm going around, sometimes I would go around and do workshops of that in old people's homes and that. And if I ask the question of, the more mature people, shall we say, parents, and I would say anyone over 60 even, ask them, would they prefer to be young, like a teenager now, or are they happy enough with where they were as a teenager? Most would say they were happy enough with where they were. They would look at life now, for young people,
more complicated,
more challenging, more complicated, and that has to impact on how we manage. If going back to the car analogy, if a car isn't been well looked after, something's going to happen. Be it the timing belt, be it
running going to give,
and we are
working properly.
We're living in a fast-paced world now. I think much faster than the generation before, and even more so when you go back each generation. And wisdom moves at a slow pace. Technology moves at an exponential pace. So, there's a disconnect between our inner world and our feelings and stuff like that, and our cognitive, our kind of keeping up to date with the day-to-day technology and stuff. And we love all that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Because you talked there about having just a bit of time to reflect, and maybe they didn't call it reflection back in the day, but with things moving at such a pace now, we often just don't get that time. We don't get that time to ourselves. For us, before you did, whether it was maybe walking or cycling from A to B, or whether it was when there was people away during the day and then you had the house to yourself, and there wasn't a TV maybe, or there certainly wasn't a mobile phone, so you just had that bit of extra time.
Yeah.
And you could be standing just doing the dishes, but you were thinking
and
things right in your head.
Communities relied on each other more. If I think of the farming community, when it came to the different jobs that needed done over the year, it was shared. Whatever machinery there was, it was shared. Before then, when there was no machinery, it was all hands to the pump. So 1 week would be down to one farm, all community would be there. So when that would be happening, you kind of, lives were shared more, and it was harder to hide your own thoughts, your own inner world. So there was a kind of healthiness to that too. I'm not saying it was all roses back then.
Well, there was more of an opportunity to be part of a community and to share and be part of a collective, whereas now it's all too easy to avoid any of that.
And another,
especially out like in rural Ireland, thinking about out in rural communities.
Yeah. And another fascinating thing that I remember picking up during work over the last few years, I used to work in McGilligan Prison, and talking to one of the prison officers there about changes over the years. he worked in McGabry, which would be a more serious prison in the north, and back in the political times, he was saying one of the biggest changes socially that happened in prisons was when they brought in the enhancement system, where if prisoners behaved themselves, they were able to get a television into their cells. Before the televisions were allowed, the network, the communication between the prisoners and the two main groups, the Catholic and Protestant groups, was superb. So if they decided, right, we're going to kick off tonight, everyone knew when, everyone was involved and stuff like that. Once the televisions came in, all that broke down, all communication broke down, because fellas said, do you know what, I'm watching Champions League tonight. Well, it wasn't Champions League back then, but you know, they were more interested in being entertained than what, you know, being involved in community that, and where television is fantastic. Don't get me
That's
wrong.
one small example of how technology can.
Well, you
can
know,
make
it's like even putting together this concert. One of my biggest anxieties is: is anyone going to come?
The concert.
Is anyone going to come to the concert?
I'm glad you reminded me. That's what you're here for. Anyhow, so tell us the lineup. First of all, there's a talk with Fergus Cleary.
Fergus Cleary, and Fergus is fantastic. He has done so much for mental health in Donegal in his unique way. Not just Donegal, you know, thinking Romania and all that there. Fergus will just do his thing, chat away. You can listen to him all
He's
night.
a good raconteur. He can tell a story, and he's easy to listen to. Absolutely.
Sister Helen Kelly, I don't know if you know her John. No. She's from Donegal Town. She'll be one of the Kellys, the builder.
Okay.
Kellys in Donegal Town.
Yeah.
And Helen again has done fantastic work. She used to work with Parent Stop. Up here, they were based in Letterkenny, but they worked within the county. And Helen, again, is one of these people who you could listen to all day when it comes to speaking about wisdom and speaking about self-care. She's done workshops for us through health promotion, and you just come out feeling energized. So I'm doing an interview with Helen on the night. We have some brilliant music by Michael Gillespie and Zara Montgomery and Daniel Breslin.
Okay, great.
I don't know if he's anything to yourself.
No relation.
So they're my house band. You know, like all these chat shows now, you have to have your resident house band. I say that tongue in cheek because they're far too good, you know, and I'm lucky to get them. And then the proceeds are for the wellness cafes. So we're going to get a Google Box version of the audience to be able to just see what happens at the cafe, then the wellness cafes throughout Donegal. So they're going to be like a fly on the wall, looking at a wellness cafe happening on stage.
Brilliant.
We also have a fashion slot as well around, you know, feel good. Well, you know, the connection between fashion and feel good. Helen O'Driscoll will be doing that.
Okay, great.
And a couple of fiddle players to boot as well.
Well, you have put on most certainly a variety concert in true sense of the word. And just to remind people that the money's going to the Donegal Wellness Cafes, the network, and they're dotted about all over the place. I'm just looking at the map here: Falcarra, Gweedore, Dunloe, Dunfanaghy, Letterkenny, Finn Valley, Donegal Town, Downings, Ramelton, Lifford, Buncrana, Clonmany, Carndonna, and Moville. And they're different days and different times and different weeks. Yeah. Sometimes every other week, sometimes every fortnight. Yeah. And more information, obviously, online if you want to go along to one of those wellness cafes. Great place, just if you want to come along for a chat.
Yeah, I go down to the one in Green and Theatre in the cafe there when I can, and it's like going into the have a pit stop. There's no judging. It's very informal, and you just build up some great friendships.
All right, then, a reminder of the date for this. It's this coming Monday, and it's 8 o'clock on Green and Theatre. And the great thing about it is the tickets are more than reasonable, just a £5 each.
Yes, and again, that's thanks to some of the promoters, Health Promotion, HSE, the council have come in as well. Healthy Donegal's section of the council have come in with funding as well, which
Great.
I really appreciate. And again, John, thanks a million for this opportunity here too.
No bother. Good luck with it.
Thanks,
I
Joe.
hope it goes well, Bill.
Okay.
There's never been a better time to go full Lidl. Let's hear it from our customers.
And they have really yummy food, so they have all the good stuff, actually.
They do.
I'd say like